All right, so here we are at what is this? Down to Clown. So I have a bar that every once in a while just does it on its own. Trying to figure out why it does it on its own. So open up the back. So the way it works is there's these little magnets right here. There's another little like sensor right there that when this comes down, you know, it says, "Oh, I'm there." It does this thing. This one looks like someone put some tape over the sensor, and that's why it's doing it. I don't know. I don't know why there's tape on it. So I'm going to remove the tape and see what happens, or see why. I don't understand why they would put tape up there. So yeah. All right. I'm just gonna turn the game off real quick. Move this kind of out of my way. Do a little feeler test here. I don't feel anything weird. They're definitely covering the sensor. What? I don't know why they did that. That's so weird. That is so weird that it was like that. All right, well, let's put it down. And see what happens. See if that fixes it. All right, let's turn it on. Come on, we're waiting. Well, I mean, I guess it's not going to do it anymore. Well, I guess there you go. That was the problem. That's why that arm was moving on its own. They covered the sensor. Remember, that little sensor is what senses this little magnet here. Sorry. That little piece of metal. I don't know if it's magnetic. I don't know. Is it? Yeah, it is magnetic. Lays on that, tells it it's there. So far, I haven't heard it go off. It's someone, I don't know why someone put the tape over there and that extra cushion, so that was weird. Removed it, and there you go. So this was definitely the culprit as to why it was doing that. Now we got to figure out why this is so loose, and why they put a piece of tape here. That's weird. I don't know. Going back to that old saying, if you can't fix it, duck it. No, it's we can fix it. So let's move the game out a little bit so we can get to the side and see if the screws just need to be tightened. Sometimes these screws will get knocked a little loose because they're throwing the balls here, and they'll hit this, and that'll just kind of like make them loose. So let's tighten it up. Let's move the game over. Well, I thought I fixed it, and all of a sudden it didn't. It just took a little extra longer. So maybe that sensor is bad. All right, but I did tighten it. There you go. It's not as loose as it was. Got screws here, and screws here for each one of them. On each side too. You got screws on this side as well to hold just the stopper over here. And they're a little loose too. I'd have to tighten these bad boys up. So you might want to make sure they're tight. All right, well, let's go get a sensor and replace that bad boy because I think it's not working. So let's go get another one. All right, here we go. We got the sensor right here. Super simple change. We're just gonna turn it off, remove that, unplug it, put this on, screw it on, plug it back in, turn it back on, and hopefully it takes care of the issue. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right. Sensor has been replaced. Here's the old one. Oh no, I don't see anything wrong with it, but doesn't mean, it's not bad. Haven't heard it go off yet. I've had it turn on for at least a few minutes before I actually start recording, so I wanted to see if it would just do it. I didn't want to sit here with the camera looking at it for 3 minutes. But everything is nice and tight. So the screws are all nice and tight. These are tight, those are tight, those are tight up there. I even went ahead and tightened this side over here. So this side is all nice and tight. They're not loose. Over time, yes, from this thing whacking down on it, they will become a little loose, possibly even break off. But they seem to be kind of okay. So I'm going to wait a little longer, see if it starts happening. So I'll be back. All right, so definitely have a more of a bigger issue. I don't know. Okay, so here's how this works. It's still going up and down on its own. The magnet here is supposed to hit the sensor and tell it to turn off. There's 5 volts that comes to this right here, so as the head magnet comes down, it takes the 5 volts away, and then, you know, it says it's home. But what was happening is that it would still move up and down on its own. That's a normal thing. I got kind of weirded out by that as well, but that's because it's unplugged and the magnet is looking for or the game is looking for the sensor. It doesn't know where it is, so it's gonna up and down a few times until it tries to find it. But it never is gonna find it because it's unplugged. So, back to what I was saying. 5 volts is being pumped to this. As the magnet comes down, it breaks the 5 volts and tells it that it's home. But for some reason, it's not breaking it. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is. It could be this little magnet. I was told that little magnet will eventually become weak or may even not work and then not break the sensor, the magnetic sensor that's inside here all the way. Or it could have been that my wire broke off right here and it was making it not get a good reading. So I'm gonna have to fix that and try to start testing all over again. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fix that because I don't have my Molex tools with me. So I'm probably gonna have to put this down until I come back the next day with my Molex tools. So I can try something, but it won't last very long. All right, well, let's try something. Okay, all right, so this is kind of a pain in the butt. So I couldn't put my leads into the Molex housing here, so I had to get a paper clip, kind of shove those in there, and I had a hard time shoving those in there, and I used a small paper clip to be able to use my leads and actually get some kind of reading. So I am getting 4.8 volts to my sensor. Should it be exactly 5 volts? I want to say yeah, it should be. I might have to up the voltage a little bit, but the one wire that broke off from the back, I was able to twist it and just sort of shove it back in there. I had a lot of wire, and I just kind of shoved it in there to make a good connection. It's not going to be like that. I'm not going to leave it like that. I'm not even going to let the game run like that because I know eventually it'll just break. So I was just doing this for testing. So like I said, I wanted to make sure that this sensor was working. So yes, when the bar is up, I get 4.8 volts. When the bar comes down, the magnet comes in and touches that sensor, and the voltage goes away, drops down to 0. So this is working the way it should. So I've been standing here for quite some time kind of staring at it, and I've noticed that it hasn't gone up on its own. So it's possible that this one wire that broke off was the culprit. It wasn't giving it its full 5 volts. It was probably barely hanging on by a few little thread strands or something like that. So I think that was the major issue, is that this wire was broken. Was the other sensor bad? Probably. I didn't like the way it looked anyways. The fact that they covered the sensor, that was kind of weird, so I just put a new one on there and that's it. But so far it has not been moving. I mean, that could be the issue. The only other problem I have is that wire's just sitting inside there. It's not really fixed correctly. I don't have my Molex tools with me, so I knew if I talked long enough it would do it. It proved me wrong. So now I have to call tech support back and let them know that I do have 5 volts there, and this magnet is coming down and breaking the voltage, the circuit, but it's still happening. So back to tech support. All right. All right, so we've called tech support, and I have told them that everything here is working the way it should. Contacts being broken, 5 volts is there. When I checked the voltage, I had 4.8 volts, so I bumped it up to about 5.3. It's still breaking the contacts, no problems. I have 5 volts over here. As soon as this comes down, voltage goes away. So this is working the way it should. So there's nothing wrong here. So I called tech support, and I did mention, I was like, hey, you know, could it be the magnets on one of the clowns that has gone bad? They said, of course, that yes, that could definitely be one of the issues as to why the arm is coming up on its own. So I went ahead and started working on this, testing all these magnets here. I'm gonna plug right here. Same way, put my little leads on right here. I get my 5 volts. When I lift it up, 5 volts goes away. This one, 5 volts goes away, 5 volts goes away. So these are all working correctly. Now, if you're looking at this little tiny wire, that just goes to LED. So if you look at all these, eventually they'll all go solid colors, except for this one. Well, the red, at least it won't work. So the red wire fell off. I have to kind of solder that bad boy back on. Anyways, but it has nothing to do with what the issue is. I have the motor disconnected right now, so the motor's not going to run at all because I needed to be able to lift these up and down and test them without the bar crushing my hands. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this, and then I'm going to plug my motor back in, and then I'm just going to give it time and see if it still does it, because I have no idea what it is, because it's not these magnets up here. It's not the magnet on the actual sensor itself. I don't know what it is. Could it be motor related? Maybe. I don't know. Well, let me go ahead and fix this, plug everything back in, put everything back together. That way we can kind of just let it roll and see what happens. I don't know. Let's put this back together. All right. It's been started back on. The red now works. Everything is plugged back in. Motor's plugged back in, so any second now the motor should the arm should lift the clowns up like it just did. Now it's just a matter of waiting to see if it's still doing it. I don't know. So I still don't know what the problem is. I don't know if the problem went away. I don't know if the problem still is here, but I'm gonna let it run for a little bit and see what happens. All right, well, I'll be back. Okay, so that didn't take too long. Yeah, it's still doing it. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I have checked all these sensors up here, the little magnets. I have 5 volts to the magnet part, and when the clown pops up, 5 volts goes away. Clown falls down, 5 volts comes back. See, everything's working the way it should. Magnets here working the way it should. The magnet back there is working the way it should. The only other thing that I have not changed or done anything to is the motor. But I don't know why the motor would want to do that on its own unless it's getting some signal from somewhere. I have no idea. So I'm gonna have to call tech support again and let them know that everything here is functioning the way it should. And I just don't know what it is that it's doing. You know, it's like every minute or so it wants to do that. All right, well, I'm gonna call tech support. All right, so I did end up calling tech support, and I explained to them what I've done. I explained to them that everything is working the way it should, and they suggested trying one more thing. So I was like, okay, no problem. So we went right here to the main board. These right here are your, your clowns. So you got your lower, middle, and then your upper. So what we did was we swapped the top for the middle for the top. So now the middle is the top and top is the middle. And it has now transferred from being the top one that goes up on its own to the middle one going up on its own. So that tells me, or us, I should say, because tech support helped me out, that motherboard is bad. So I ordered a new motherboard. This motherboard right here is just, I mean, you can tell, I mean, it's just bad. It looks messed up. It's got so much stuff all over it. It's hard to see through the phone, but I can see so much crud all over it. But that's on its way. Could we leave the game running and working the way it is? Probably. I would hate for it to be played and then the arm come up at the same time that a clown goes down. And then, I don't know, something messes up or something like that. And then I have even more of a bigger problem with the game than what I have, which is just a motherboard issue. So I'm going to suggest that we leave it down for now. I will disconnect the motor so that way it doesn't keep moving up and down, ruining my motor. And then just leave the game down until the motherboard comes in, replace the motherboard, and then everything should be good to go. And that's it. All right, well, for now, we're just going to leave it like this. And, yeah. Thanks for watching.